Wow. To love and be loved is to feel the sun from both sides. You will never find time for anything. If you want time, you must make it. The most exciting phrase we hear in science, the one that heralds the most discoverers, is it's not Eureka. I found it, but that's funny. We grow great by dreams. Common sense is instinct, enough of it is genius. Give thanks in one course from which we never graduate. Giving thanks is one course from which we never graduate. There's no point at which you can say, well, I'm successful now. I might as well take a nap. If you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice. Obstacles don't have to stop you. If you run into a wall, don't run around and give up. Figure out how to climb it and go through it or work around it. Your real blessings often appear to us in the shapes of the pains, losses, and disappointments, but let us have the patience, and soon we shall see them in their proper figures. The meaning of things lies not in the things themselves, but in our attitude towards them. Pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. The hopes of the world rest on the flexibility, vigor, capacity for we thought, and the fresh outlook of the young. The greater the obstacle, the more glory in overcoming it. When it is dark enough, you can see the stars. The teacher affects eternity, you can never tell where his influence starts. You may have been deceived if you trust too much, but you will live in a torment if you don't trust enough. Try to eliminate a word should from your vocabulary, but try doing so without replacing should with ought. You would better. A weed is no more than a flower in disguise. There's no scarcity of opportunity to make a living at what you love. There's only scarcity to resolve to make it happen. And the wind said, may you be as strong as the oak, yet flexible as the bridge. May you stand tall as the redwood, live gracefully as the willow, and may you always be afloat all your days of this earth. He who laughs last. Perpetual optimism is a force multiplier. It is what you do from now on that will either move our civilization forward a few steps or else begin to march on a steadily backward. We must use time creatively and forever realize that the time is always right to do right. Do what you can with what you have where you are. Many candles can be kindled from one candle without diminishing it. If we had no winter this spring would not be so pleasant. If we did not sometimes taste of adversity, prosperity would not be so welcome. Compromise is not the spice of life. Is it solidity? Is it what makes nations great and marriages happy? You can complain because roses have thorns, or you can rejoice because thorns have roses. Peace on earth, goodwill towards man. No bird soars too high if he soars with his own wings. Speak when you're angry, and you'll make the best speech you'll ever regret. Art washes away from the soul the dust of everyday life. The last of the human freedom is to choose one's attitude. What does not destroy me makes me strong in breast life. Don't let life discourage you. Everyone, oh God, where he is had to be where he walks. You must do the thing you think you cannot do. Appreciation is a wonderful thing. It makes what is wonderful, excellent in others belong to us. Aspiring, talk happiness. The world is sad enough without your woe. No path is wholly rough. Life is a big canvas. Throw all the pens on it you can. Find joy in simplicity, self-respect, and indifference to what lies between virtue and vice. Love and human grace. Follow the divine. You have your brush. You have your colors. You paint paradise. Then in you go. Be just and fear not the true and noble way. To kill a foe is not to kill him. You with kindness may you so change him that he shall cease to be so, and then he's slain. Life can only be understood backward but must be lived forward. You don't get to choose how you're going to die or when. You can only decide how you're going to live. Now, be a good listener. Your ears will never get you in trouble. We do not inherit our earth from our ancestors, we borrow it from our children. We must learn to live together as brothers or perish together as foes. Should you shield the canyons from the windstorms, you would not see the beauty of their carvings. People only see what they are prepared to see. The meaning of things lies not in the things themselves, but in the attitude towards them. Time is the most valuable thing that a man can spend. Success is more attitude than aptitude. If opportunity doesn't know, build it too. The best preparation for tomorrow is to do today's work superbly well. The older you get, the more you like to tell it like it used to be. Human beings are the only creatures on the earth that allow their children to come back home. To know you have enough is to be rich. You can't depend on your judgment when your imagination is out of focus. Be careful what you wish for, you may just get it. Angels can fly because they take themselves lightly. A day a person becomes a cynic is the day he loses his youth. Intelligence without ambition is a bird without wings. Control your emotion or it will control you. Yes, risk taking is inherently failure prone, otherwise, it would be called sure thing taking. Nothing is so strong as gentleness, and nothing is as so gentle as is real strength. Better to bend than to break. Be what you are. This is the first step toward becoming better than you are. How many legs does a dog have if the tail a leg? For calling a tail a leg doesn't make it a leg. Let us not look back in anger or forward in fear, but around in happiness. There's no disguise. Words can for long conceal love where it exists and stimulated where it does not. If we cannot now end our differences, at least we can help make the world safe for diversity. What poison is to food, self-pity is to life. Patience is a companion of wisdom. All serious daring stars from heaven. Nothing great was ever achieved without enthusiasm. It's better to be alone than in bad company. Whatever is worth doing is all worth doing well. Friendship is a sheltering tree. Hear the meaning within the word. Patience is power. What time and patience are multiplied live becomes silk. Take a sad song and make it better. If the first button of one's coat is wrongly buttoned, all the rest will be crooked. You can, if you think you can. Action is eloquence. Beware, as long as you love of judging people by appearances, it's a wonderful seasoning of all enjoyments to think of those we love. We must be willing to sacrifice what you are for what you can become. Paradise is where I am. We never listen when we date are eager to speak. The only people with whom you should try to get even are those who have helped you. The great mind knows the power of gentleness. Hitch your wagon to a star. Hope is the thing with feathers and that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops it all. One word at a time. One world at a time. Where there's sunshine, the doctor starves. No matter how far you have gone on the wrong road, turn back. I don't know why my grandfather was. I'm much more concerned now to know what his grandson will be. Computers are useless. They can only give you answers. Follow the laws of poles. If you are in one, stop thinking. The morning glory at my window satisfies me more than the metaphysics of God. Here is a new day, the pendulum moves slowly. Let me see something tomorrow which I never saw before. Never for the sake of the peace and quiet deny your conviction. He who knows it not, who can no longer feel a mesmer is as good as death, a snuffed out candle. Snuffed off candle. Ideals are like the stars, we never reach them, but like the mariners of the sea, we chart our course by them. If your project does not work, look for the part you didn't think was important. The reward of a thing well done is to have done it. What it lies in our power to do, it lies in our power not to do. It's good to have money and the things that money can buy, but it's good to take once in a while to see, to make sure you haven't lost the things that money can't buy. Nobody ever died of laughter. The gap between enthusiasm and indifference is filled with failures. Nurture your mind with great thoughts. We all have abilities. The difference is how we use it. There may be times when we are powerless to prevent injustice, but there must never be a time when we fail to protest. It isn't a calamity to die with dreams unfulfilled, but it's a calamity not to dream, to sell the winds of enlightenment when they blow, but in the calms and dry spells, rely on your will to carry you through. The only limit to our realization of tomorrow will be our doubts of today. Let us move forward with strong and active faith. Teach us to delight in simple things and mirth that has no bitter strings. Forgiveness free of evil done and love of men beneath the sun. There is no unmotivated people, only unchallenged goals make your goals believable and exciting. It's not the journey of 1,000 miles that is so daunting. It is the pebble in your show that is driving you to a distraction. One person can make a difference and every person should try. The only The difference between the right word and the lost, almost right words is the difference between lightning and lightning bug. If you keep on doing what we always done, we will keep on getting what we always got. The one thing that is not by majority rule is a person's conscience. Never grow a wishbone where your backbone ought to be. Dignity does not consist in possessing honors but in deserving them. Never try to walk across a river but just because it has an average depth of 4 feet. Don't learn the trick of the dress, learn the thread. Don't be afraid to give up the good to go for the great. First do it, then say it. Be absolutely determined to enjoy what you do. Never cut what you can untie. Keep in mind that the true measure of an individual is how he treats the person who can do him absolutely no good. Don't waste your time trying to control the uncontrollable. Wisely control what you can control and solve the problem. You can solve with the wisdom you have gained, but from both the victories and your defeats in the past. To wish to meet challenges, also the difficulties, or all to yourself to meet them. When you can't solve a problem, manage it. Knowing is not enough, we must apply. Winning is not enough, we must do. Our main business is not to see what lies dimly at a distance, but to do what lies clearly at hand. Whenever you fall, pick something up. Accentuating the positive is medically sound. Happy people are generally healthier people. We must not, in trying to think about how we can make a big difference, ignore the small daily differences we can make, which over time add up to the big differences that we often cannot foresee. Few things are more satisfying than seeing the children have teenagers of their own. You cannot plow the field by turning it over in your mind. Plunge boldly into the thick of life. Choose wisely. Do not bind yourself to what you cannot do. Frame the mind of mirth and merriment, which bars 1,000 harms and lengthens life. Once you get people laughing, they're listening, and you can tell them almost anything as long as you live. You keep learning how to live. Don't forget until too late that the business of life is not business but living. Find out what you really want to do and then cut out the details that fritter away what is most valuable in life. Live deep instead of fast. My grandfather once told me that there were 2 kinds of people: those who do the work and those who take the credit. He told me to try to be the first groom. There is less competition there. We must view young people not as empty bodies to be filled, but as candles to be lit. Democracy is measured not by its leaders doing extraordinary things, but by citizens doing ordinary things extraordinary. But you can't do much here about the length of your life, but you can do a lot about its depth and breadth. The mother is not a person to lean on, but to make leaning a necessity. Giving, whether it to be time, labor, affection, advice, gift, or whatever, is one of the greatest pleasures. Information is the oxygen of the modern age. It seeps through the walls stopped by barbed wire. It wraps across the electric borders. There is no use worrying about the things over which you have no control, and if you have control, you can do something about them instead of worry. Do not the most moving moments of our life find us without words, beautiful in enjoying writing, all in breath awareness, peace within without lies. Wow, beautiful. Fabulous quotes. Ability. The winds and waves are always on the side of the abilities navigators. There's great ability in knowing how to conceal one's ability. Ability is poor man's wealth. To know how to hide one's ability is a great skill. Absence makes the heart grow fonder. Eye of beauty fares the well. Absence from those we love is from self a deadly banishment. For there is nigh a luck about the house where night luck at day. There is little pleasure in the house where good men's are away. Love reckons for months and days, for years, and very little absence in an age. My mind let go of 1,000 things, like dates of war and deaths of kings. The horror of that moment I shall never forget. You will tough, the queen said, if you don't make a memorandum of it. Your absence of mind we have borne till your absence of body came to be called in question by it. It is the disease of not listening, the malady of not making, that I am troubled with all. Abstinence is then easy to me as temperaments would be difficult. Abuse is often a service. Abuse me as often as you will. It is often a benefit than any injury. Accent is the soul of language. It gives it gives to it both feeling and truth. Accidents will occur in the best regulated families and in families not regulated by both pursuing influence would sacrifice while it enhance, I would say, in short, or by the influence of women in the lofty character of wife. Accidents count for much in relationship as in marriage. Accuracy is the twin brother of honesty. In accuracy and dishonesty, death comes to all, but great achievements raise a monument which shall endure until the sun grows cold. Acting and actor have patience with jealousies and petulances of actors, for their hour is their eternity. As in the theatre, the eyes of men after a well-trained actor leaves the stage, idly betting him that it was next thinking his rather to be tedious. On the stage, as he was natural, silver affecting, it was only the ring he was off, he was acting. Acquaintance, sudden acquaintance brings a repentance. If a man is worth knowing at all, he is worth knowing well. Acquirement, every noble acquisition is attended with risk. He who fears to encounter the one must not expect to obtain the other. Action. Think in the morning, act in the noon, eat in the evening, sleep in the night. The actions of men are the best interpreters of their thoughts. The actions of men are like the index of a book. They point out what is most remarkable in them. The great end of life is not knowledge but action. I wish to preach not the doctrine of ignoble ease, but the doctrine of strenuous life. Actions are ours, their consequences belong to having strong pieces make strong actions. Adam and Eve. While Adam slept, Eve from his side arose. It's strange his first sleep should be his last repose. In Adam's fall, we sent on. Oh, Adam was a gardener, and God made him see that half a proper gardener's work is done upon his knees. She gave me of the tree I did eat. So curses all Eve's daughters of what complexion soever. There's no actual gentlemen but gardeners. They hold up Adam's profession. Brahma was once asked of foes, who's stronger than those? She replied, address. Admiration, yet let not each day turn the rapture move. For fools admire, but men of the sense approve. Administration is very self-led action that immediately decays upon growing familiar with the subject, with this object. She named the infant Pearl as being of great price, purchased with all she had. What men call gallantry and God adultery is much more common than climate sultry. It is a wise father that knows his own child. The ass will carry his load, but not a double load, right? Not a free horse to death. Advantage is a better soldier than a rashness. For when I gave to an inch, you took an ell. Adventure was his coronel, and all his wealth was wandering. The day shall not be up so soon as I to try the fair adventure of the tomorrow. Sweet are the uses of adversity which like the road toad, ugly and venomous, fears, yet with precious jewel in his hand. Prosperity is not without many fears and distaste, and adversity is not without comforts and hopes. Adversity introduces a man to himself. Affliction may one day smile again, until then sit thee down sorrow. Prosperity is not just a scale. Adversity is the only balance to weigh friends. Advertisements, you can tell the ideas of a nation by its advertisements and be applied. Advertising could remake the world. Good wine needs neither bush nor surface to make it welcome. Never trust the advice of a man in difficulties. When a man seeks your advice, he generally wants you praise. And with my advice, faith, you will take it. Ask a woman's advice, and whatever she advises, so the very reverse, and you are sure to be wise. To accept good advice is but to increase responsibility. To get advice by the bucket, but take it by the grain. Advice is seldom welcome. Those who need it most like it least. We have been, let us say, to hear the letters photographs pick up the news through his hair and fingertips. Affection is a greater enemy to the face than smallpox. If you only knew the peace, there is an accepted sorrow. The Lord gets his best soldiers out of his high land of affliction. I have lived long enough. My way of life is fallen into sere and yellow leaf. No wise man ever wished to be younger. Gravity and youth cannot live together. Old wood best to burn, old wine to drink, old friends to trust, and old authors to read. Agitation is a marshalling of the conscious to a nation to mold its laws. I do not want people to be very agreeable, as it saves me the trouble of making them a great deal. He that complies against his will is of his own opinion still. We hardly find a person of good sense save those who agree with us, agree to differ, and seem to walk on the wings and trend in a hollow journey to an reverberating hills and make the babbling gossip of the air cry out. Where the birds most breed and haunt I have observed there is delicate. Those of things because the art was here there should be no more kicks and back and side go where go by. Both foot and hand go cold, but belly goes and they good enough, whether it be new or old. Then to the spicy nut brown ale, I would give all my fame for a pot of ale and safety, all powerful ale whose sorrow seething sways of the repeating back and afternoon. Praise to be Allah, the Lord of creation, the merciful, the compassionate ruler of the day of judgment, help us, lead us in the path. Allegories of fine ornaments and good illustrations were to prove peace, comments, and honest friendship with all nations, entangling alliance with one. Of all the girls that are so smart, there's none so pretty. Sally, she is the darling of my heart, and she lives in our alley. Begot by butchers, by acres bread, how high his honor holds his haughty head. He never also sacrifices self. An ambassador is an honest man sent to lie and intrigue abroad for the benefit of his country. Cromwell, I charge thee, fling away ambition. By that sin fell the angels. Valued in ambition which overleaps itself. Desire of greatness is a godlike sin. How easy to be amiable in the midst of happiness and success. Amusement is an observing mind and study. Anarchy is hatred of human authority. Atheism of divine authority, two sides of the same whole. The man who has not anything to boast of but his illustration and his ancestors is like a potato. The only good thing of to him is underground. Breed is stronger than pasture. Birth is nothing, fear virtue is not. Look homeward, angel, now and melt with truth. The flights of the angels sing thee to the west. We are like angels, still our passion dies. Anger is short madness. To be angry is revenge the faults of others on ourselves. Anger makes dull men witty, but it keeps them poor. Anger is one of the sinews of the soul. To be furious is to be frightened out of fear, and in that mood the door will break. This strange. He who forces calamity suffereth until it's over. Nothing is good as it seems beforehand. Those who call anxious were really new in everything. It is a melancholy consideration indeed that our chief comforts often produce our greatest anxieties, and that an increase of our passion is but an inlet of new disquietudes. Do not anticipate trouble or worry about what may never happen. Keep in the sunlight. Apologies and only egoists and wrong side out. Apologies only account for the evil which they cannot alter. Costly the habit as the purse can buy, but not express in fancy, rich not costly, for the apparel of proclaims a man. She looks as if butter wouldn't melt in her mouth. All that glitters not for gilded tongues do warms up and fall. Foolish men mistake transitory semblances for eternal fact and go astray more and more. Now good digestion heat on appetite and health on both. In the wind laughter of false wisdom hears half applause. Oh, to be in England now that April is there. Gothic church is petrified religion. He draweth out of the thread of his verbosity, findeth in the apple staple of his argument. Clear statements, argument, wise men are the cause. Fools decide them. The best armor is to keep out the gunshot. Army is a good work in which that study human life. Nothing is more hateful to a poor man than the purse-proud arrogance of rich. Art is long and time is fleeting. The life of sacrifice is the pinnacle of art and is full of true joy. Art lies in conceiving art. All art hath in any may call ignorance. All art is but imitation of nature. I am prejudiced in favor of him who without imprudence can ask for joy. Long is the way and hard that out of hell leads up to light. They build too low who build beneath the skies. Man can climb to the highest summits but cannot dwell there long. Assertion unsupported by fact is nugatory. Tell me with whom thou art found, and I'll tell thee with who thou art. There is no man who had not come some interesting association. No undervout astronomer is man. Atheism is rather in the lip than in the heart of the man. Be nigh, and atheist shall believe in God. The fool has said in his heart, there is no God. Attention makes the genius. All learning, fancy, sincere learning skill depend upon his authority. Forget the time again. Though authority be stubborn, fear. Yet he is oft led by the laws of God. The highest duty is to respect authority. No man but a block a head ever wrote except for man. The chief glory of every man arises from his authors. The author himself is the best judge of his performance. When shall numbers sureless blast, make fields and forests bare, season of mist and meadow fruitlessness. Arise the spur of industry, arise the voice of declining years, that those not takes one find new things only by looking for them. Babies do not want to hear about babies. They like to be told of the giants and castles and that which can straight and stimulate their little minds. A rose with all its sweetness, leaves yet unfolded. No, the world must be people. When I said I would die a bachelor, I did not think I should live till I were married. All reformers are bachelors. Because I will not do the wrong to mistrust any, I will do myself the right to trust none, I will live a bachelor. Ballads evoke portraits of the national mind. A banker is the man who lends you an umbrella when the weather is fair and takes it away when it rains. Every best occupation makes him sharp in his practice and dull in every other. Beard was never the true standard of brains. There is no excellent beauty that hath not some strangeness in the proportion. The best part of beauty is that which no picture can express. The thing of beauty is joy forever. As loveliness increases, it will never pass into nothingness. Beauty is to smile. When she beholds her own face in a perfect mirror, our beauty's princely majesty in such confounds the tongue and makes the senses sharp. Beauty is a short-lived friend. Early to bed, early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. To rise with the lark and go to bed with the lamb. Oh, bed, delicious bed, that heaven upon earth to the very bed. Beggars must not be chosen. Boring is not much better than begging. He who begs timidly quotes refusal. Better a living beggar than a buried emperor. Do wrong to none. Those that are good-mannered at the court and are as ridiculous in the country as the behavior of the country is most mockable at the court. Blessed are they that have not seen and yet have believed. A man must not swallow more belief than he can digest. A thing that nobody believes cannot be proved too often. Ring out the old, ring in the new. Ring happy bells across the snow. Who is to belt the cat? It is easy to propose impossible remedies. To do well to bad man is as great a danger as to do in a good one. The child that their want reigns, but relieve their pain. Benevolent feelings ennoble the most trifling actions when all my petty Dickens and their damn at once felt soup. Bible alone at night, I read my Bible more. I need equate less. The book of books, the storehouse and magazine of life and comfort, the Holy Scriptures. The Bible is the window in this prison of hope through which we may look into eternity. Biography. What with every Johnson in the world had his vertical Boswell or the leash of Boswell's. Biography is the most universally pleasant and profitable of all. Reading the pleasing punishment that woman bear birth. What is it that we rejoice at the birth and grieve at the funeral? It is because we are not the person concerned. Lady, you are the cruelest alive. If you will lead those graces to the grave and leave the world no copy. Birthplace. Every man has a lurking wish to appear considerably in his native place. Be hushed by every thought that springs from out the bitterness of things. Blessing. I had most need of blessing and amen is stuck in my throat. God blesses everyone. The last of all, blindness. They be blind leaders of the blind, and if the blind lead the blind, both shall fall into the ditch. To live a life half dead, a living death. It was a dream of perfect bliss, too beautiful to last. A blockhead cannot go in, nor go away, nor sit, nor rise, nor stand like a man of sense. Blood is thicker than water, feet at my heart, as at a cup my lifeblood seemed to sip. It was worse than a crime. It was blunder. It was disgraceful to stumble twice against the same stone. The rudeness is the sense of its good wit, which gives man stomach to digest his words with better appetite. Better a blush on the face than blot on the heart. A blush is the color of virtue, a killing tongue, but a quiet soul. This thou should not have done. and not have spoken on it. We are boasting as their dignity begins. A healthy body is a guest chamber for the soul. A sick body is a prison. If anything is sacred, then the body is sacred. What action is to the orator that boldness is to the public man first, second, and third? I dare do all that may become a man who dare do more is none. Fools rush and dread the angels fear to tread. Books without the knowledge of life are useless for what should. Books teach but the art of living. Laws die, books never. A good book is a precious life blood of a master's will, embalmed and treasured upon the purpose of life beyond life. Dreams, books are each of the world, and books we know. Some books are to be tested, others to be swallowed, some few are to be chewed and digested. Books are the shrine where the senses and is believed to be. Boots, 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 boots moving up and down again. There is no discharge on the wall. The secret of holding a book is the practice of saying everything. One of the best things in the world is to be a borrower. It requires no experience but needs some practice to be a good one. The borrower is subordinate to the lender. Neither a borrower nor a lender be for loan of loses both, etc. Friend in boarding does the age of husbandry. The smiles and the tears of boyhood's years, the words of love that is spoken, the best hearts are ever the bravest. Man shall not live by bread alone. O God, that bread should be so dear and flesh and blood so deep. Good breeding is the blossom of good sense, and brevity is the soul of wit. Since brevity is the soul of wit and tediousness, their limits and outward flourishes, I will be free. Every man has his price, judges and sinners have been taught. Bought for gold, esteem and love are never to be sold. Too poor for a bribe and too proud to importune, he had not the method of making a fortune. Am I a brother's keeper? A brother is a friend given by nature. No distance breaks the tie of blood. Brothers are brothers evermore, father and mother. As reference, a brother the only love. There is no brotherhood of man without the fatherhood of God. The conviction of justification of using even most brutal weapons is always dependent on the presence of the fanatical belief in the necessity of the victory of revolutionary new order on this globe. He built it better than he knew. The conscious stone to beauty grew. It is impossible to believe in emotional and spiritual intensity and pure classic beauty that can be produced by a man, an animal, and a piece of scarf is surged draped over a sick. There, which is everybody's business, is nobody's business. Business today consists in pursuing crowds. The man who's about the business may be the one day find his business about him. The meanest, most contemptible kind of praise is that which first speaks well of a man and then qualified him with a but. He who forces calamity suffers them twice over. Love frees all toils but one calamity, and it can be ill agreed. Calm appears when storms are past. Love will have its hour at last. Calumny, be thou as chaste as ice, as poor as snow. Thou shalt not escape calumny. Calumny will sear virtue itself, cutting on its throats by whisper. Calvinism is a democratic and republican religion. Neither do men light a candle and put it under the bushel, but on the candlestick, and it gives light unto all that are in the house. Unto the end shall charity endure and candle hide. Those faults it cannot cure. I want the glib and the oil art to speak and purpose not. My dear friend, clear my mind of cant. You may talk as other people do. You may say as to a man, Sir, I am your most humble servant. You are not his most humble servant. Capitalism production beget with an inexorability of law of nature its own negation. The desert is imprisoned in the walls of the unbounded barrenness. Every pack of cards is a malicious libel on codes and on the world. See how the world is veteran to reward youth of frolics and old age of cards. Care is not cure, but rather corrosive for things that are not to be remedied. To carry care to bed is to sleep with a pack on your back. Take my advice and draw caricature. By the long practice of it, have lost the enjoyment of beauty. For want of timely care, millions have died of medicable wounds. If you build castles in the air, your work need not be lost. That is where they should be, nor put foundation into them. Everything in nature is the cause from which it flows some effect. Great causes are never tried on their merits. God befriend us as our cause is just can mold the brightest cause or build the worst. Look before you leap, see before you go. A wise man does not trust all his eggs in one basket. Early and provident year is the mother of safety, marching along 50. This goes strong, and if you don't hurt her, she will do me no harm. The best humoured men with the worst humoured news forbear to judge, for we are sinners all. Censor is a tax a man pays to the public for being eminent. Ceremony is the invention of wise men to keep fools at a distance. A table full of welcome makes scars on dainty dish. Chance is perhaps a pseudonym of God when he did not want to sign under the burgeonings of chance. My head is bloody but unborn. It is not strange that even our lives should change with our fortune. Things do not change. Fortune changes the strongest son of God. Life. Character is what you are in the dark. Character must be kept bright as well as clean. The great hope of society is individual character. Charity gives itself rich, covetous souls. Itself poor. The charities that soothe and heal and bless lie scattered at the feet of the men like flowers. The place of charity, like that of God, is everywhere. Charms strike the sight when meditates the soul, majesty of honor, which creates a stay like a one. That just the jewel of our hearts. Don't smooth girl never does complete successfully in this estate. A light heart lives long. I had rather have a fool to make me merry than experience to make me sad. In a child, the father image lies. The child is the father of man's child. It shows a man as morning shows the day. Children are more need of foremothers than of greetings. From the solemn gloom of the temple, children run out to sit in the dust. God pauses simply and forgets the priest. The age of the Tibet priest never passes so long as there is wrong left undressed on earth. But the age of Tibet priest haunts that of sophisters, economists, and calculators. It has succeeded. God offers to every mind